Hello and welcome back to the English Podcast. Hi everyone, let's begin today's English practice session. I'm Erica.
And I'm Marco. We're here to help you improve your English through natural conversations. Our aim is to make learning English enjoyable, simple, and useful for daily life.
Today we have a really helpful topic. We're going to focus on how to talk about the past in English. How do we describe things that happened yesterday, last week, last year, or even when we were kids? This is essential because we share memories and experiences with others all the time.
Exactly. Whether you're chatting about your weekend, your childhood, or a funny story from a few weeks ago, you need to know how to use the past tense.
That's right. And if you find this episode helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us keep creating content for you. Ready, Erica? Ready. Let's dive in. So, Marco, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks. Bit sleepy though. I stayed up late last night watching a documentary. What about you?
I'm great. I had a calm weekend, so I feel energized. What did you get up to?
On Saturday, I went to see my parents. We had lunch together and chatted for hours. It was wonderful. Then on Sunday, I just stayed in and cleaned my apartment. Not super exciting, but it needed to be done.
That sounds lovely. I enjoy visiting my family too. And yeah, cleaning isn't fun, but it's necessary. How about me? I went hiking with a few friends on Saturday. We walked in the hills for about 3 hours. The weather was beautiful. Then on Sunday, I spent the day reading and made a big dinner.
That sounds amazing. I love hiking, but it's been a while since I've gone. You should go again soon.
I will. You know, speaking of things we did, that's exactly what we're discussing today.
Exactly. We're already doing it, talking about the past. So, Erica, when I think about the past, I think about many different times. Yesterday, last week, last year, even childhood.
Yes, the past is anything that happened before now. It could be 5 minutes ago or 50 years ago.
Right. Let's start with the recent past. What did you do yesterday?
Yesterday was Monday, so I worked the whole day. In the morning, I replied to emails and had a team meeting. In the afternoon, I focused on some projects. After work, I went to the gym, then came home and prepared dinner.
That sounds like a productive day. I also worked yesterday. I taught 3 English classes and then did grocery shopping. Oh, and I called my sister in the evening. We talked for about half an hour.
That's nice. Do you call her often?
I try to call once a week. We live in different cities, so staying in touch by phone matters. What about you? Do you have siblings?
Yes, I have one brother. He lives close by, so I see him more often. Actually, I saw him last week. We grabbed coffee together on Thursday.
That's great. So when we talk about yesterday or last week, we usually use the simple past tense.
Right. We say, I worked, I went, I called, I saw, all past tense verbs. And we often use time expressions like yesterday, last week, last month, last year, and ago.
Exactly. For example, I started learning English 5 years ago, or I visited Paris 2 years ago.
Oh, you've been to Paris. Tell me about it.
It was fantastic. I went with my best friend. We stayed for a week. We saw the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, and lots of lovely cafes. We ate so much delicious food, I gained 3 kilos.
That's funny, but I'm sure it was worth it. When did you go?
I went in spring, so the weather was ideal. Not too hot, not too cold, perfect for walking around.
I'd love to visit Paris someday. I've never been to France.
You should go. It's a beautiful country. What about you? What's the most interesting place you visited in the past?
Let me think. Probably Japan. I went there 3 years ago. I stayed for 2 weeks and traveled to Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka.
Wow, that sounds incredible. What did you enjoy most?
The food was amazing. I had sushi, ramen, tempura, and so much more. And people were very polite and helpful. I also loved the temples in Kyoto. They were so peaceful and beautiful.
Did you learn any Japanese before going?
A little. I picked up basic phrases like hello, thank you, and excuse me. But Japanese is quite different from English, so it was challenging.
I can imagine. It's great that you tried, though. Learning even a few words shows respect.
Absolutely. So, Marco, we've been talking about trips and experiences, but what about childhood memories? That's also the past.
Oh, yes. Childhood is full of memories. When I think back, I have so many happy ones.
Me too. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town. It was very quiet and peaceful. I lived in a house with a big yard. My brother and I played outside every day after school.
That sounds lovely. What games did you play?
We played hide and seek, rode out bikes, and climbed trees. In summer, we swam in the lake near our house. In winter, we built snowmen and had snowball fights.
That sounds like a perfect childhood. I grew up in a city, so my experience was different. I lived in an apartment building. There were many kids in the building, so we always had friends to play with.
What did you do for fun?
We played soccer in the street, rode skateboards, and went to the arcade to play video games. That was my favorite.
Did you have a favorite video game?
Yes, I loved racing games. I played them for hours. My parents would say, "Erica, stop playing and do your homework," but I didn't always listen.
That's funny. I think many kids are like that. I was a good student, but I still preferred playing outside to studying.
So when we talk about childhood, we also use the past tense. I played, I lived, I went, I had.
Yes, and we often use phrases like when I was a child or when I was young. For example, when I was a child, I wanted to be a pilot. Or when I was young, I was afraid of dogs.
Were you really afraid of dogs?
Yes, but not anymore. Now I love them. What about you? What were you afraid of as a child?
I was afraid of the dark. I always slept with a nightlight. I was also scared of thunderstorms. When there was thunder and lightning, I'd hide under my blanket.
That's very common. Did you have any pets growing up?
Yes, we had a cat named Whiskers. He was orange and white and very lazy. He slept all day, but I loved him.
I didn't have any pets. My parents said the apartment was too small. But I always wanted a dog.
Maybe you can get one now.
Maybe. So, Erica, let's talk about school memories. School is a big part of childhood and the past.
True. I have many school memories. Some good, some bad.
Tell me a good one.
Okay. I remember when I was 10, my class went on a field trip to a science museum. We saw dinosaur skeletons, did experiments, and watched a planetarium show. It was so exciting. I loved science after that.
That sounds wonderful. Field trips were always the best. What about you? Do you have a favorite school memory? Yes, I remember my high school graduation. All my friends were there and we were so happy. We took lots of photos and promised to keep in touch. After the ceremony, we had a big party.
Did you stay in touch with your school friends?
Some of them, yes. I still talk to my 3 best friends from high school. We message each other and sometimes meet for dinner, but I lost contact with many others.
That's normal. People move and life changes.
True. Now, what about bad memories? Did you have any tough times in school?
Well, I wasn't very good at math. I studied hard, but it was difficult. I remember failing a math test once and crying. I was so upset.
Oh no. But did you improve?
Yes, my parents hired a tutor for me. She helped me understand math better, and my grades went up.
That's good. I had a similar problem with history. I couldn't remember all the dates and names. It felt so boring to me.
Everyone has subjects they don't enjoy. That's normal.
Absolutely. So, Erica, let's talk about first experiences. The first time we did something. Those are also important past memories.
I love talking about first experiences. They're always special and memorable.
What's a first experience you remember clearly?
I remember my first day at university. I was so nervous. I didn't know anyone, and the campus was huge. I got lost trying to find my classroom.
What happened?
Finally, I asked another student for help. She was very kind and walked me to the building. We became friends after that.
That's a sweet story. First days are scary, but exciting. What about me? I remember my first job interview. I was 22. I wore a new suit and prepared answers. But when I got there, I was so nervous I forgot everything.
Oh no, what happened?
The interviewer was very nice. She asked simple questions and made me feel comfortable. In the end, I didn't get the job, but it was good practice.
That's true. The first time is always a learning experience.
Exactly. And now I'm much better at interviews.
Another type of past memory is embarrassing moments. Everyone has them.
Oh, I have so many. Want to hear one?
Sure.
When I was in college, I went to class one day. I sat down, took out my notebook, and started listening to the professor. After 30 minutes, I realized I was in the wrong room.
No way! What did you do?
I waited until the professor wasn't looking and quietly left. My face was so red, I was so embarrassed.
That's embarrassing, but also funny.
Now it's funny, but at the time, I wanted to disappear. What about you? Any embarrassing memory?
Yes. Once I was at a restaurant with friends. I waved at someone because I thought it was my friend, but it was a stranger. I felt so stupid.
That happens to everyone. It's not too bad.
I know, but I still remember it clearly. These embarrassing moments are part of life. They make good stories later.
True. Now let's talk about important life events in the past, like graduations, weddings, or starting a new job.
Yes, these are big moments. They change our lives. What's an important life event from your past?
I think getting my first apartment was very important. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 25. It was scary, but exciting. I had my own space and independence.
That's a big step. How did you feel?
At first, I felt lonely, but then I loved it. I could decorate my way, cook whatever I wanted, and invite friends over anytime.
That sounds wonderful. For me, starting my own business was the most important. I quit my office job 5 years ago and started working for myself. It was risky, but it was the best decision.
Wow, that's brave. Were you scared?
Very scared. I worried about money and failure, but I also felt excited and hopeful. And now, 5 years later, I'm happy I took the risk.
That's inspiring. So these big life events are important parts of our past. They shape who we are today.
Exactly. And when we share these stories, we use the past tense. I moved, I started, I quit, I felt. All past tense.
Yes, and we can add details to make the story more interesting. When it happened, how we felt, what we did, and what the result was.
Good point. Details make stories come alive.
So we've talked about many types of past memories. Recent past, childhood, school, first experiences, embarrassing moments, and important life events.
Yes, we covered a lot. And all of these help us practice talking about the past in English.
You know, while we were talking, we used many useful words and phrases. Let's go through some to help our listeners.
Great idea. Let's start with productive. This word means you did a lot or accomplished many things.
Yes, you used it earlier. For example, yesterday was very productive. I finished all my work.
Or I had a productive meeting. We solved many problems.
Next, sibling. This means brother or sister. Instead of saying brothers and sisters, you can say siblings.
For example, I have 2 siblings, or my sibling lives in another country.
Next, grew up. This is the past of grow up. It means where you lived as a child.
For example, I grew up in a small town, or she grew up in a big family.
Next, memorable. Something you remember because it was special or important.
For example, my wedding was the most memorable day of my life, or that was a memorable trip.
Next, embarrassing. Something that makes you feel shy, ashamed, or uncomfortable.
For example, I made an embarrassing mistake in the meeting, or that was so embarrassing, I wanted to hide.
Next, field trip. A school activity where students go outside the classroom to visit a place like a museum or farm.
For example, our class went on a field trip to the zoo, or I remember a field trip to a chocolate factory.
Next, stay in touch. This means to continue communicating with someone.
For example, let's stay in touch after graduation, or I stayed in touch with my old teacher.
Next, tutor. A private teacher who helps one student or a small group.
For example, I need a tutor for English, or she works as a tutor on weekends.
Next, independent or independence. This means you can take care of yourself without help.
For example, I want to be more independent,
or living alone teaches you independence.
Next, risky. Something that is dangerous or where you might lose something.
For example, that's a risky decision, or investing in stocks is risky.
Last, come alive. This means something becomes interesting, exciting, or full of energy.
For example, the city comes alive at night, or the garden comes alive in spring with flowers and birds.
Great review. Those are all useful words for talking about the past and telling stories.
Okay, that was a lot of talking about the past. Let's summarize what we learned.
Good idea. First, we talked about the recent past. Yesterday, last week, last month, or a few years ago. We used the simple past tense and time words like yesterday, last week, and ago. For example, I worked yesterday. I visited my parents last week. I went to Paris 2 years ago.
Then we discussed childhood memories. We use phrases like when I was a child or when I was young. We can talk about where we grew up, games we played, things we were afraid of, and pets we had.
After that, we covered school memories, field trips, graduations, favorite subjects, difficult subjects, and friendships. We use phrases like I remember when, my favorite memory is, and I wasn't very good at.
Then we talked about first experiences, special memories that happen only once, like the first day at university or the first job interview. We use my first and the first time I.
We also shared embarrassing moments. Everyone has them, and they make good stories. We used words like embarrassing and phrases like I was so embarrassed and my face was red.
Finally, we talked about important life events, big moments that change our lives, like moving out, starting a business, or graduating. We use the past tense and add details about feelings and outcomes.
That's right. So talking about the past is simple. Use the past tense, add time words, include details about feelings and actions, and share your personal experiences.
Exactly. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes.
Now we'd love to hear from you. Our question of the day is, what is your most memorable childhood memory and why?
Let me answer first. My most memorable childhood memory is going to the beach with my family every summer. We stayed in a small hotel, played in the water, built sandcastles, and ate ice cream every day. It was pure happiness. I remember it because we were all together and life felt simple.
That's beautiful. For me, my most memorable childhood memory is learning to ride a bicycle. My father held the back of the bike and ran with me. Then one day, he let go, and I rode on my own. I felt so proud and free. I remember it because it was the first time I did something difficult alone.
So, viewers, we want to know about you. What is your most memorable childhood memory? Why do you remember it so clearly? It could be a birthday, a trip, learning something new, a special friend, or just a simple, perfect day.
Please tell us in the comments. You can write, "My most memorable childhood memory is," and then share your story. Or write, "I remember when," and describe the moment. A few sentences are perfect.
For example, I remember playing with my dog in the garden. We played every day after school. I was so happy then.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be long. Just share something from your heart. We read all the comments, and it helps us understand you better so we can create more useful videos for you.
Thank you so much for watching today's episode. We truly appreciate your time. If you enjoyed this lesson, please give it a thumbs up. It tells us you want more content like this.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. We post new English conversation episodes every day, designed to help you speak more naturally and confidently.
You're all amazing learners, and we're honored to be part of your English journey. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and don't be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are how we grow. Every conversation is practice, even if it's just talking to yourself or writing in the comments.
Keep going, stay positive, and believe in yourself. Have a wonderful day, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.